How about a little kill music?
Good news, folks. Twisted Metal is coming back for a Season 2 on Peacock this July 31st, and things are going to get really thorny for John Doe and Quiet, as they fight for their lives against all kinds of vicious enemies. The stakes are higher than ever, with the Demolition Derby promising the single greatest prize of all times. The only problem is that 16 others also risk their lives and battle with all their might. But it's too bad that not all of them will survive. What's more, to make matters more complicated, John reunites with his long-lost sister, the vigilante Dollface. In today's video, let's dive into the 15 most wild and psychotic characters from the Twisted Metal franchise that are simply unforgettable.
Beef! I got a whole butcher shop.
Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth, also called Needles Kane, is a murderous clown driving an ice cream truck. Although he is a wanted criminal, subtlety was never his forte. His iconic white truck has pink polka dots on it and a huge replica of his own head on the roof of the vehicle. Now that's quite a statement. In the video games, he evolved from being this goofy clown in the earlier versions to being a full-blown psychopath in the later ones. In Peacock's TV series, he's a washed-up star from the past. He was a child star who became disproportionately envious of his co-star. Guess who? It's a very lovable dog. But his jealousy gets the best of him, and he flies into a serial killing spree. He is sent to an asylum, but this menace is a tough nut to crack. John Doe and Quiet actually first meet Sweet Tooth in Vegas, after which this haunting criminal scoots across the divided states of America. He unleashes brutal attacks on a number of law outposts, spreads his rampage like an epidemic, and even builds a cult. With Sweet Tooth's flaming head and his appetite for chaos, he is quite the face of the series. Calypso. Up next, we have Calypso, a guy whose origin is shrouded in mystery. But he's also a pivotal character in the franchise, featuring as an antagonist in almost every entry. Bestowed with magical powers, his main role is to organize the titular tournament. The host then grants the winner one ultimate desire, but here's the catch. The winner gets whatever he wants, but sort of in a dreadfully twisted way. It's a bit sad that the first season of Twisted Metal missed out on Calypso, making only oblique references and showing only patchy glimpses of the main guy. In the grand finale, he is shown only briefly from behind, but it also sets the stage for his undoubted return as a major character for Season 2. And we just can't wait to see more of Jared Bankins as he reprises the role. In ancient Greek mythology, the name Calypso meant she who conceals. In the Homeric epics, Calypso was a nymph who trapped Odysseus, promising him immortality. You see parallels, right? In Twisted Metal, Calypso has his own brand of psychotic madness. We don't know if his motivations are rooted in deception, malice, or just plain fun, but he does have a ton of chaotic energy in him that he unleashes in restrained wildness. Mr. Grimm. This skull-faced, threatening aura is none other than the Grim Reaper himself, that is, Death. He dons a motorcycle helmet where the Death Skull is imprinted on the visor. With a black leather coat and his straight jacket underneath, Mr. Grimm wields a scythe made out of rebar and scrap parts. The franchise is practically dysfunctional without the Angel of Darkness, as he appears in every Twisted Metal game and infects everything with his psychoticism. In the games, he may be an immortal shadow, but the TV series portrays him as a human, with very real human limitations. Richard DeClercq holds to his credit an iconic scene where he consumes a person's soul, drawing the last beam of light out of his victim. That makes him one of the most formidable opponents the show has ever seen. While he rides a motorcycle like the Ghost Rider, except in this case, Mr. Grimm rides in the quiet of the night without the flaming fire, we got to see him contesting in a car tournament once. It seems a bit odd, but hey, we aren't complaining. In Twisted Metal Black, he was a former war vet who started using his friend's skull as a helmet. In the 2012 reboot, he was an ex-stuntman who had now turned to a life of crime. So you see, a dense backstory, some dazzling clothes, and a lust for death render him absolute unyielding madness. Dollface. Has anyone else felt the lack of feminine hysteria yet? Don't worry, we have Dollface up next on the list. The number one reason she made it to this list is because her mask can scare the living shit out of you. She commands the Dolls Gang, a group of batshit crazy women wearing the doll mask and following her lead. By the way, this gang also features the dazzling hot Stephanie Beatrice playing the role of Quiet. In the season finale of Peacock's celebrated show, we see John Doe returning to his childhood home. He recalls memories of his parents and his sister as he browses through the old photos, but he knows that everyone is now dead. In an unexpected plot twist, Dollface traps Quiet with spike stripes and confronts her about Dollface's long-lost brother named John. Now, that makes us think, is this a genuine desire to connect with family or sheer revenge? Dollface's origin in the show is still a mystery, but one thing's for sure. The little tease at the end of Season 1 promises a tension-filled reunion and conflict in the upcoming season. Like the games, we wonder if we can see her driving fancy-ass cars like Darkseid, Iron Maiden, Talon, and Juggernaut. She was given the backstory of an ex-supermodel who lost her face to a car accident, and her final desire is to remove the mask from her face, should she ever win the tournament. Fancy. Minion. A demon straight out of hell, Minion was the first end boss in Twisted Metal 1 and a mini-boss for the next few games in the series. A badass red giant, he can, at times, be played as a character if you know the cheat code. In some versions, like Twisted Metal Black, he's basically Sweet Tooth's alternative personality who wears a bloody bullhead. In the first game, we learn that Minion was the winner of the last tournament, but we wonder what he wished for. Intimidating and vengeful, Minion's goal in life is to hunt down Calypso and seek revenge for stealing his wish-granting powers from the demon himself. That was 11 years ago, and Minion is extremely salty about Calypso usurping his birthright. The time has come when justice shall be delivered. So Minion opens a portal to hell where Calypso, pleading for mercy, would rot away for eternity. It's not just his sense of identity loss or his insatiable thirst for vengeance that makes his screen presence nail-biting. This victor of mayhem actually has one of the coolest cars in the entire franchise, making his armored combat vehicle practically undefeatable. Its solid armor and high speed add finesse to the tank, which can fire trios of homing missiles, including a missile that freezes the opponent. Dark Tooth. Clowns and ice cream trucks in Twisted Metal go a long way when it comes to furor and frenzy. In the games, Dark Tooth is the boss version of Sweet Tooth, playing the role of a supermassive ice cream truck, which is thrice the size of Minion. In dental medicine, a dark tooth refers to a necrotic tooth where blood vessels have dried out and tissues have run out of life. Appearance-wise, it's literally dark, with pink polka dots on the black body of the vehicle, and a head that reminds you that the character hasn't strayed very far from Sweet Tooth's madness and mayhem. This truck has been driven by Charlie Kane, aka the original driver of Yellow Jacket, then by Marcus Kane, who is the second driver of both Roadkill and Minion, and last but not least, by Needles Kane, who's obviously the driver of Sweet Tooth. Yes, by all the three Kanes. In Twisted Metal 2, Darktooth rose from the sewers to avenge the death of his little clown boy, so he goes on a whole rampage where he crushes everything in his way. In the 2012 reboot, he returned as the grisly son of the terror-reigning serial killer father, Sweet Tooth. Charlie Kane is yet to appear in the Twisted Metal series, but he would be a great addition to the story, given that his parents were brutally murdered by none other than Sweet Tooth himself. Axel. Axel is a man who is stuck between two giant wheels, which gives him his iconic name. The initial couple of games showed him as a guy imprisoned by his father inside the two-tired contraption, so his ultimate wish was to find enough courage and grace to break out of this servitude. In another version, his character was given more agency, having created the two-wheeled vehicle to atone for not saving his wife, who was killed by Sweet Tooth. Apart from featuring in almost all the games since his debut, he also appears as a boss in Twisted Metal 4. In Black and Small Brawl, surprise, he is an unlockable character. It's not just his vehicular apparel that make him a daunting driver for the Twisted Metal tournament in the games. Rather, the TV series reimagines Axel as a free man who isn't just stuck to his wheels. He's given a metallic arm along with a buffed-up physique. You know, big broad shoulders tapering down his waist. Just to give you an idea, the audition for this role saw a number of WWE superstars such as Omos, Cedric Alexander, and Apollo Crews, but none of them were selected. In the end, the role went to Michael James Shaw, who makes a heroic entry in Season 1, Episode 10. There's something oddly wild and psychotic about Axel's pain and discipline, the kind you don't really know how to explain, but it's there, silent and monstrous. Mr. Slam. Next in line, we have Mr. Slam, and like his contemporaries, he too lives up to his name. In the games, he's a crazy architect named Simon Whittlebone, who wants to create the tallest building in the history of the world. He basically debuted in Twisted Metal 2 as a yellow construction vehicle, terrorizing his opponents with violent endings. He would grab the contestants with his large front lifter, slam them to the ground, and watch the enemies get completely destroyed in a massive explosion. You have to realize how spectacular this special move is. It runs the risk and demands the skill of driving up close to the enemy. And Mr. Slam totally aces this move, treating fans to the grand devastation he has always promised. Fun fact, the franchise has only 3 characters so far, Mr. Slam, Grasshopper, and Spectre, where the vehicles have been piloted by ghosts. The TV adaptation of the series actually gives his character a fresh take, where he plays the role of a bartender. Here, he manages a milkman pit stop named the Nut House, and often plays the sport of crushing a watermelon. But don't be fooled by the silver streaks in his long hair and long beard, his construction vest, and his kind and chatty personality. It may bear the marks of wisdom and age, but let's not forget that he is still one of the most notoriously raw characters in the franchise. Outlaw. Outlaw is a police SUV modeled on a 1995 Chevrolet Suburban. The machine guns strapped on its sides and the turret on its roof implies cataclysmic doom. The start button on the car's control panel is almost nuclear in effect, as there is no running away from this havoc. The vehicle is driven by Agent Stone in the first season of the TV series, who happens to be a self-proclaimed police officer leading a group of unruly cops. The group shares a very contorted sense of justice as they seek to bring back order and organization to this post-apocalyptic world. John basically calls him Officer Psychopath, so you kind of get the disruption and defiance this lawman with his lawless vehicle brings to the table. Outlaw's legacy in the video game series starts with Sergeant Carl Roberts claiming to be a good cop in a bad world and driving the vehicle to win the tournament. The ultimate goal was to end this anarchy fest and dawn justice upon Calypso. Both Roberts and his mad sister Jamie drove the Outlaw, even though Roberts was trapped in outer space by Calypso shortly after winning the tournament. Roadkill. Like Outlaw, Roadkill is another vehicle that's effectively the flag bearer of Pandemonium. It's an operational junk muscle car that's currently driven by John Doe and Quiet as their second car. So what happened was that Mark, a member of the Vultures, was the original driver, but after he was killed, the vehicle was claimed by Quiet, who dubbed it as Roadkill. Roadkill's arsenal is what makes it so unique. An armored 1988 Chevy Camaro IROC-Z, its front bumper is basically crowned with spikes. It houses 2 machine guns. One of them acts like a turret and is placed in between the windshield, on the passenger side. The other one is strapped to the left side of the hood. Then there's an entire rocket launcher on the roof. A compartment for hatches can be found on the passenger side. It's customized for Quiet's insanely accurate throwing skills. Rumor has it that Season 2 of Peacock's show has got at least 4 to 6 roadkills built for action, so we just can't keep calm. Mike and Stu. Stewie, Stubert, Big Guy, Papa Bear, Big-Titted Tommy. He's most commonly known as Stu and is often paired with Mike. There's no info on the duo's past before the apocalypse, but we do know that they worked as guards in the insider city of Seattle, where they were grossly mistreated. They were banished after the morons were caught sleeping and snoring on duty, after which they drove away until their car broke down in Nevada. After a series of adventures in the forest, Sweet Tooth kills Mike and drags Stu Spirited Away. In the franchise, Mike and Stu drive the Hammerhead monster truck, but they really haven't made much impact on the storyline either in the games or in the TV show. But here's why this incredibly problematic duo, with their juvenile sense of fun, happen to be two of the wildest characters in the entire Twisted Metal universe. They're goofy and defy the gravity of the other characters. Mike and Stu aren't driven by revenge or pain, or even sadistic fun for that matter. They are so hilariously crazy that you'll be terrified by their absolute lack of a human brain. Like others, they too participate in the tournament, but their ultimate wish from Calypso is to be able to fly. Guess why? So that these gentlemen can look down into boobies from high up in the sky. Mind you, these are games where mortality is the norm, so that makes the pair total bananas. Quattro. Quattro brings with him an eccentric brand of lunacy in the series. He is an alien, unlike the other contestants, who are either ordinary humans or magical entities. In Twisted Metal 4, he drives the Xeon Hoverbike, a futuristic mobile with no heels, killer acceleration, and shockwaves that can knock down the opponent. His ultimate wish? He has none. He has entered the tournament on behalf of the Intergalactic Law Enforcement Department in order to arrest Sweet Tooth, Calypso, Rob Zombie, and Captain Grimm. In the Twisted Metal cosmos, Sweet Tooth's infamy is spreading like wildfire, and the authorities have fixed a handsome bounty on his clownish bobblehead. Quattro says, "Wanted criminals are my prey. If you are, you can run, but you cannot hide." In the end, Quattro not only wins the contest, but also discusses his identity and purpose in a grand revelation. Hearing this, Sweet Tooth's henchmen draw their weapons, but Quattro's backup arrives and surrounds them. What this character essentially does is that it lifts the story off a small locale and takes it to outer space madness. He's definitely a wild tease, and it's only a matter of time before Peacock launches him as a major character in the series. Spectre. Brace up, folks, because things are about to get wildly spooky. So this is not your average Halloween ghost, even though he looks exactly like that. Mysterious white sheets shrouding a formless being that scurries across the ground. His hollow eyes look like they are endlessly looking for something. It's indefinite, but not without aim. As for this character, he's only 13 years old. This shy little boy enters the competition in the hope he might find his long-lost father. That's his motive, that's his wish. In the course of time, he will realize that he bears an absolutely mind-blowing connection to the previous tournaments. On that note, Spectre is also a combat vehicle which has appeared in almost every game in the franchise. Its sleek sports car look goes perfectly with its speed and mood, making the vehicle one of the fastest cars that is also smooth like a ghost. Normally, anyone driving this car is either so starved of attention that they feel invisible like ghosts, or has actual direct links with paranormal lives. Its inbuilt ghost missile, a homing special weapon, can even travel through objects like a ghost, before landing heavy damage on opponents. Naturally, Spectre is one of our top picks from the franchise. Mr. Zombie. Mr. Zombie drives the souped-up car of destruction called Dragula, and his wish is for the world to hear the wails and war cries of a dead man's soul. Robert Zombie Cummings is a real-life music star who participates in the tournament as a guest, the only character to do so. He looks like an upgraded version of Dracula the Undead, with long flowy hair, broken teeth, and eyes glowing in the dark. Even his car is a fun replica of the Munster Coach racing vehicle from the 1960s black and white TV sitcom The Munsters. It had actually featured in Rob's own music video. His hobby, apart from thrashing on some new tune, is to unleash absolute disorder on the streets of LA. As he cleans up the corrupted lanes of modern hell, he appears as if he owns the city. He's a total nutjob. Right after he completely annihilates you, he might just use you as his muse for his upcoming track. Add to this his special weapon, which is a powerful vortex that detonates into a shockwave. So you see, he doesn't just rock the rock scene in the States, he also literally rocks the city with his unrestrained attacks. Bloody Mary. Last but not least, we have a banger, the Bloody Mary. She drives the Spectre and enters the tournament hoping to finally meet her one true love. Throughout her life, she had received only rejections. For instance, when she confessed her feelings to her school crush, she was pushed into the mud, bullied, and laughed at. In the Peacock series, her character is played by Chloe Fineman, who received a fair share of acclaim for pulling off the whole Harley Quinn look. She happens to be John Doe's ex-girlfriend, and was introduced to us when John and his new girlfriend Quiet stopped at the Nut House pit stop. As they reconnected, Mary's jealousy was pretty evident right from the start. Mary eventually faces off Quiet, but this is no ordinary catfight. What you witness is a psychotic battle between two femme fatales, with each of them being wild and untamable. We see the temperatures soaring till Quiet strikes Mary down with one brutal chop of the axe. Bloody Mary falls to the floor, but she isn't dead, folks. Barely a month had passed when we saw Calypso revealing that Bloody Mary is a contestant in the upcoming tournament. Marvelous verdict. With Peacock streaming the second season of Twisted Metal after 3 years worth of waiting, we wonder what the new season will look like. An outsider must deliver a mysterious package across a post-apocalyptic wasteland in exchange for a better life. Who is this outsider, and what is this secret parcel? There are so many unanswered questions, but we do know for sure that things are going to get really complicated for John Doe and his partner Quiet. Surely we'll get to see some spine-chilling sibling rivalry with Dollface entering the scene, because, let's be real, this is not Disney Pixar. Calypso's full-blown entry into the show means that there would be more car action, more sports fantasy, and a lot of gunfire and missile launches. As old faces from last season are fastening their seatbelts, and new faces are waiting to debut in the series, let us know in the comments what you'd like us to cover next.